I'm out here seeing things in Schöneberg. Maybe you can see there's a pretty dark sky on the horizon. I think the storm clouds have passed. And now I'm just walking around. Man, my camera doesn't want to... There we go. Want to check out this park here. I've been here before. There's some nice statues of stags in this park next to the town hall. I was just looking at the clock tower on the town hall, which the town hall is actually pretty cool. City Hall, town hall. It's got some paternosters in there, which are these continuously moving elevators that you can only find in Europe, maybe South America or something. Mostly I found them here in Europe. There's one you can ride in Vienna. And you used to be able to ride this one. I think I may be locked out of here. Let's find out. But last time I went, they were sort of blocked. But if there's any paternosters that you have access to, they're usually in city halls. The one in Vienna is. I know there's several, or many I should say, in Prague. There are several here in Berlin too. But I've only looked at this one in the Schöneberg Town Hall. Yeah, if you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. Look up Paternoster elevator. They're super cool. They have no doors. They're just continuously moving in a loop, and you just sort of hop on. Here we go. I do get access to this park. Let's see. It's ready for my... There we go. So actually, there's a couple of stages to this park. Here we're looking at a little fountain. But beyond it, you can kind of see a wall. And then there's another part of the park back there where they have the statues of the stags, which are for St. Hubert. Do I feel like going over there? I guess so. Why not? What the hell are we doing here? There's these beautiful trees out here. The other thing in Schöneberg Town Hall is they recently filmed some scenes from Babylon Berlin, which is on Netflix if you've ever seen that. There's some scenes where they're in an old bar, restaurant, and it has a lot of nice kind of Art Deco architecture and artwork on the walls. And that's sort of in the basement of the Schöneberg Town Hall. If you're ever in Berlin, you go to Schöneberg. City Hall or Town Hall is very easy to find. And yeah, you can go in and look for the Paternoster and the basement cafeteria where they film. Beautiful greenery here. There's also a very short subway that runs here, goes about 4 or 5 stops between here and something like, oh shoot, I can't remember the name of it now. I go there a lot too. It's another nice leafy subway stop with fountains over near Wittenberg station. But it's such a minor route. It really only serves like this City Hall, which is a Rathaus. You see that term a lot in Berlin. There's a lot of Rathauses. In fact, we can see it here. There's a stop. It's the U4. And you may have heard of Ratskeller. That's the city cellar. So it's like a pub in the city hall. And it's basically under this bridge, that U4 route. And down here, it's funny. I guess I don't remember where those stag statues are. Maybe they're out deeper in this park. I thought they were maybe right over here. Oh no, I see it now. Interesting. It's quite centralized. So you can see that stag statue. I walked right by it because it's tall and it's up on top of the fountain. So St. Hubert or St. Hubertus is kind of a big thing here. You'll see it on some alcohol labels and different places. So they happen to have a statue with a golden stag on it. Part of the St. Hubert hagiography, the lives of the saints. I don't remember the story exactly. He was obviously hunting, and he followed some stag. And I can't remember now if that relates to the White Hart legend, which, a lot of pubs are named the White Hart. Something about Karl Zuckmeyer. Maybe he's the landscape architect. Mentioned something about Köpenick, which is another little neighborhood, suburb of Berlin. If anybody can read German, maybe you can figure out what Karl Zuckmeyer has to do with this park. So, interesting neighborhood. Kind of leafy. But of course, it gets pretty loud when you get to the main road. And I just wanted to come over here before I go further afield, just so you could see this this water fountain, this well, essentially, these public wells. Looks like this one's working. So it's pretty cool looking. You've got kind of like the dragon's head spout. And then you just give this a little pump here. And feeling pressure, and sure enough, there it goes. So these are for plant watering. You don't drink it. It says here even. Kein Trinkwasser. Don't drink the water. But yeah, these things are impressive. Cast iron, green painted, from the turn of the century, late 1800s, and they've survived it all, and they still work throughout the city. They're all over the place. So it's quite a nice feature. Nana, still going after all these years, still alive and strong. 2024 concerts, still looking good if the image is to be believed. Doing quite well. I mean, she was a phenomenon of the 80s, for God's sake, so she's going to be pushing 70. Here we see at Innsbrucker Platz, they've got an old stone emblem, which is very much showing that stag of St. Hubert. So I'm down here in this leafy neighborhood, about to enter the cemetery, which, around here I am at the front gate. Often there's only one way in and one way out, maybe two. But it can be tough to just walk through a cemetery and walk out the other side. Quite often, they just have large walls around them, as this place does. Graffitied, of course, as most places are. But that's the way it goes. But you can see quite beautiful ivy growing all along the wall here. Let's just hop in. 6'3". So, who is in here? Helmut Newton, Marlene Dietrich. Nobody else I'm recognizing. Ferruccio Busoni, Oscar Pastior, Jean Mamon, Johann Helmut, Paul and Rudolf Zeck. There's a few folks in here. 56. Well, let's go exploring. It's a beautiful stone, Petrifard 2022. Sign stone. I've been here once before. It's been many years. I didn't see the grave of Helmut Newton last time, so hopefully I'll get a chance to see that. Looks like we've had a little recent rainstorm here. Ingeborg Ulrich. Interesting stone. I'm just going to slowly go around here. Krupa. Like Gene Krupa, the drummer, but probably not, but that tells you his name is. He's probably German. Some beautiful plants here. This is a well-kept cemetery. And we're going to go hunting. Like I said, even though I've been here before, I've been to Marlene Dietrich's grave. It all kind of looks the same to me now. So, we'll see. We're going to do a little walk here. And hopefully this will happen before any thunderstorm. Some interesting stones all around. I don't know who these folks are. Could just be regular folks, could be prominent people, I don't know. This is quite an interesting one. Kurt Bartsch died in 2010. That's some pretty cool, almost Mexican looking statues there. I'm not sure what that's about. Thing is, once we find Marlene Dietrich's grave, there is likely to be some people visiting it. Just give you a sense of this place here. It's in the middle of a beautiful neighborhood in Schöneberg, or Friedland or something like that. With this beautiful tree in the middle here. Holy cow, that's a giant. I don't know what kind of tree that is. It's sort of shaped like a willow, but the leaves are quite different. So Helmut Newton, if we find him, we should be able to, is a well-known photographer. I'm just going to go up this little sidetrack here. And there's a museum / gallery for him right next to Zoo Station, which I have been to. And it's pretty cool. Of course, it's loaded with his photographs, and it's got like a safari vehicle that he owned. Can't remember anything else, but there's a lot of random stuff there. And I don't think I realized he was buried down here. I never thought about it. They have a lot of these things here too, where they're just kind of plaques embedded into the wall of the whole cemetery, like they have for this Wolf family here, and then a bunch of other folks. I think Marlene was buried here because this is where her mother is, so she's next to her mother. This is the neighborhood where she grew up. Well, let's just go down here. That's a beauty right there. I love this blue color ingrained in the stone. That's really nice. Smells great here too. Lots of flowers. I mean, it is late spring, so, and we did just have a light rain, so the smell of everything is just flourishing. This is quite cordoned off here. Adamar Anschutz. It's got a kind of a state plaque on the ground and some stone fencing. I like this statue here. Common, Uwe Common. Renata Common. Look at these flowers here. It's just quite the color on this. Holy cow. Some kind of poppy. So here we are at Marlene's grave. As you can see, some fresh flowers, photo, 1901 to 1992. I thought her mother was here, but I don't know the name. But there you go, Marlene Dietrich. That's her, and Helmut Newton are definitely the most prominent people in here. And I like this stone over here next to her. This is quite impressive. And there's Helmut. 2004. June Newton, Alice Springs. So June must have been a sibling or something. It's in Australia. So I had no idea that I did visit Helmut Newton's grave because it was right next to Marlene's. I just didn't even notice it the last time I came. So there you go. Right next to each other in this little section here. And there's some interesting crypts here against the wall I want to go check out. Should go right this way. These are all fairly recent. Folks died in the last 20 years. An interesting kind of semi-outdoor crypt. And then they've got this very interesting memorial wall over here. I'm not sure what the distinction is, but it's got this nice ripple, water ripple in stone. And some recent folks, too. I'm not sure why they're grouped like that, but there you have it. Not the biggest cemetery in the world, right? Just a little neighborhood cemetery. Marlene Dietrich's house is it's a little ways off. Looks like I'm a bit trapped over here. It's a nice one, Volker. And sure enough, it looks like I'm leaving the same way that I came in. I don't see any entrances or exits on the other wall. Oh, there's one to the left. Let me try that. So a little chapel there. Back in that central tree. And then I can make my escape right here. And just to show you the kind of neighborhood here, a beautiful, quiet neighborhood, but also kind of close to some highways and such. And a little difficult to walk here because it is interrupted by such major roads that you end up kind of constantly going around these tunnels and different highway barriers and whatnot, depending on which direction you're coming from, of course. But it wasn't a straightforward walk to get here, let's just say that. I couldn't just take one road. So a bit of maneuvering. But just so you can see, you know, so many balconies, really nice balconies here. And now I'm on Leberstraße, which will take me out of here. But just to show you what I mean, just a block away, there's a major highway at the end of this little street, so you get blocked off pretty quickly. But it was a nice walk here, I have to say. I enjoyed it. A lot of little neighborhood parks. And just a lot of nice buildings. These are, over here, they're a little more utilitarian, kind of plain. But it's a good neighborhood. And it's also election season, so you'll see posters like I do over there for Hildegard Bentele for the CDU. She's all over the city. I'm not sure what's up there, but obviously she's running a big campaign. And I'm just zipping out of this neighborhood now. I'm down here on Leberstraße, where Marlene Dietrich grew up. And we're basically looking at her apartment building across the street. I'm a bit in the sun, but this is the best angle from which to view the building. As you can see, there's a little mural up there with her birth and death dates on the side of the building. So it's that sort of yellow building with a bit of brick exposed. Actually, it doesn't have a birth and death. It says 1901 to 2001, so it's some kind of centenary. And I hope it's not too washed out by the sun up there. But the other thing that's cool in this neighborhood is a gasometer. Get another look at that. Maybe we can get that sun washed out a bit, I don't know. Bit bright up there. But I don't know if there's a plaque on the building. Sometimes there's plaques. I don't see one out there. No, not on any nearby building either, which is a little strange. So it's got 1888 painted onto one of the windows. That's about it. So it's 17 Leberstraße, I'm not sure. Anyway, if you take the Julius Brook S-Bahn station on the S1, Julius Lieberbrook, it's just a few buildings away from that. There's also the neighborhood where David Bowie lived. He lived on Hauptstraße. That's not too far from here, though it's been a while since I've gone by that. And that does have a plaque, strangely, even though that was just like an apartment he kept with Iggy Pop. He wasn't born there or anything. So I'm not sure what the reason is that the city doesn't acknowledge her birth. I might want to cross the street here. It's a little bright. But as I was starting to say, the other cool thing in this neighborhood, which I'm walking to, is an old gasometer. Which, you know, those things were in use back in the day for storing gas. I guess it was LNG maybe. Actually, a pretty cool church to my left. I'm just going to take a look at that as well. Kind of an unusual shaped building. Again, in the sun though. This guy's letting me go. Some of these crosswalks are mandatory vehicle stoppers. Cool church in the middle of this building. We have to assume Marlene Dietrich did go there at some point. Not necessarily, as a patron, maybe. But certainly she walked around these neighborhoods as a child, and it wouldn't have been, it would have been a bit different. I think the building footprints are similar. But of course the buildings themselves have even changed a lot since her time. This is an example of a plaque. Hildegard Knef. 1925 to 2002. I'm not sure what Hildegard Knef did, but as an example of a plaque, like the blue plate plaques that they have in London. Much more pleasant here on this side of the road too, as well as not being washed out by the sun. So anyway, these gasometers, or this particular gasometer, has been converted to apartments, and only in the last few years actually I've seen it in construction, under construction. It was an empty tank for a long time, and then they just kind of refurbed that and built these circular apartments inside. And that's just at the end of this lane here. It'll take me a hot minute to get there, so let me just pause till I get to the gasometer. To give you a sense of the scale of this place, just here a little rough park, playground area, which is actually strangely nice with little seats and stuff. And then we've got the water tower, the gasometer. How massive this thing is. It sounds like they're still doing construction in there. I guess the exterior is certainly done. But I'm sure those are going to be expensive apartments. And they did a beautiful job in the exterior. It used to just be a rusty old hulk. And I can only imagine what the apartments look like in there. But that is kind of plonked down in the middle of Marlene Dietrich's neighborhood here. And it's just massive compared to anything else around it. As we come around the base here. This area is a little blocked off. I'm gonna have to, let's just see how it looks from this angle as well. It's a giant. So the Red Island, some kind of a workers' strike here in 1878. And this is just an interesting little corner. So you can see how the buildings now are essentially smoothed over. But they used to have a lot more detail. Probably a bit more like that one. Or even more so if I keep going here to the left. This one even says 1903 on it. This is probably more what things would have looked like in Marlene Dietrich's time. You've got a lot of ornamentation and flourishing. And of course it's 1903, so it's a lot of Art Nouveau looking stuff. But yeah, ever since the fall of communism. I mean, this is West Germany, but you know, since the 70s and 80s, and of course the 90s, they've been smoothing everything over. But also, you just wanted you to see that gasometer from the view of the neighborhood, how big that is relative to the buildings around it. So yeah, that's, you know, one unfortunate part of excuse me, all the renovation is you lose a lot of character. All these buildings are overly smooth and uninteresting, uniform. They all look like each other. Whereas if you go to see buildings in the former East, if they haven't been renovated, they're really rough. They've lost their facades. They still have damage from World War II, some of them. But that's becoming a thing of the past. It's getting harder and harder to find buildings like that. Everything's getting renovated and smoothed over. And you got to look for signs of history, like behind me here. Eisenwaden. So some kind of a ice cream shop, maybe. That's a bar now. Otherwise, you know, if you look at these buildings here, they're either kind of very boring gray cement or painted cement, like this yellow one here. It's kind of dirty looking. Or just smooth and uniform, like I have to my right here. This drab olive green and orange. It's all a bit unappealing. So if you go to some of the wealthier neighborhoods, of course, you'll see a lot more detail on the buildings. But this is just all plain and resurfaced in this particular block. But nevertheless, as you can see, the sidewalks are pretty consistent throughout the city. They've all got this stonework, and it's pretty nice. But so, you know, you get hints of what things might have looked like 100 or 120 years ago. But of course, the city has changed drastically because of the war and just because of modernization. So, just like in the States, you've got to use your imagination here and there to, and even do some research just to get a sense of what it used to be like 100 years ago.